Xiao is one of my favorite characters, and like many Genshin characters, he is greatly misunderstood by the community. Today, I will be focusing on his story, his relationships with other characters, his character development, and last but not least, the misconceptions people have about him. I have been meaning to make a video about him since the beginning of this channel, and I'm finally getting to it. I'm pretty sure my first short, which was also my first video, was about him as well. If you enjoyed this video, please like and subscribe as it helps me continue making videos clearing up misconceptions people have about our favorite characters. Let's get started. His story. Xiao is a yaksha under the name the Conqueror of Demons. Despite his young boyish look, he is 2,000 plus years old. He and the other adepti work under Zhongli to protect Liyue. He is also the last remaining member of the yakshas that once fought under Zhongli to protect Liyue. He comes off as a standoffish due to his personality, which has led people to believe he is mean or emo or that he hates mortals. Now, memes are fair game, but I need people to get to know the difference between a character's meme personality and the actual personality. So, let's get started. Not much is known about the young yaksha's past, but there once was a time he was innocent and pure, until an evil god took control of his powers and used him to kill and consume the dreams of others. It is not clear how long this abuse of power went on, but the evil god was later killed during a fight by Zhongli, who later gave him the name Xiao, and he signed a contract that he would use his powers to protect Liyue. I do hope we get another quest that tells us more about his past and who he was before being enslaved by the evil god and his experiences during that traumatic time. A lot of Genshin's characters have interesting pasts, but they either get shoved into limited time events or they just don't get explored at all, which is kind of disappointing. Relationships. When it comes to relationships, Xiao is mostly an introvert surrounded by extroverts. Because of his personality, a good portion of the people that he is friends with are more outgoing than he is. For example, Zhongli. Let's start with the most important person in this list, the Geo Archon himself, Zhongli, who is probably the only one that knows the most about Xiao's past other than Xiao himself. He killed the evil god and gave him the name Xiao, which is why Xiao is so determined to keep Liyue safe, even though Liyue is developing past the constant need of the Adepti's protection. He feels an immense feeling of gratitude towards the Archon and continues to protect Liyue even in his absence. Zhongli wants Xiao to not be so hard on himself, but the stubborn boy continues either way. He obviously cares for him, as shown in the Chasm quest when he saved him from sacrificing himself, and he even has a voice line where he asks the traveler to give him some medicine to alleviate the pain. There is this small misconception that Zhongli is forcing Xiao to continue protecting Liyue, or that Xiao doesn't have a choice. Xiao has a choice. He's choosing to continue to protect Liyue. It has been stated multiple times over and over that Zhongli would be fine with him stopping. There's a reason why Zhongli retired himself. He doesn't need the Adepti to continue protecting Liyue. Obviously, if there is a situation that requires them to intervene, they should intervene. That is what their contract stipulates. But Liyue is currently in a time of peace, so technically speaking, Xiao can relax a little. But he's so used to killing that is all he knows how to. It is extremely hard for him to stop killing. He feels he needs to continue killing or he won't have a purpose in life, which is really sad. The Yakshas. The Yakshas were a group of illuminated beasts. They were part of the Adepti and fought alongside Morax to keep the peace in Liyue. Xiao is the last remaining member of said group. There were 5 main yakshas. There were other yakshas too, but these are the 5 main ones that Xiao interacted with. Bosacius, Bonanus, Monagius, and Indarius. If I mispronounce any of the names, I am so sorry. And they have all passed away in some painful manner or the other. Either they've killed themselves or they've been killed. Xiao has witnessed many travesties occur in Liyue, and a good amount of them cost him his fellow yakshas. They are such an integral part of his character, and I really like the fact that the story quest that talks about them is permanent. Basically, the only quest that really references them solidly is permanent. It's not like an event quest, even though we got it during an event, which is so nice. I hope they do that a lot more, where they keep certain quests that have a lot of lore and story building in them in-game. When you're clearing up misconceptions about a character, it is hard to clear it up when a good portion of the people that have these misconceptions have never done the quest to begin with. So, for the most part, a good portion of Genshin's misconceptions on characters comes from the fact that people haven't experienced certain events that would clear up the misconceptions, so it kind of is Hoyoverse's own fault that certain misconceptions are spread about certain characters. From the cutscenes we've seen of their relationship, it seems his moments with them was when he was truly happy being surrounded by those he held dear, which is, again, really sad. A good portion of Xiao's story is just sad, 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 sad. It's just a tragic story overall. I'm hoping his past before he met the evil god is a lot happier, and his current present self is reaching a point of happiness because of the traveler's influence and everyone around him going out of their way to involve him in certain things. So his present, or future at least, seems to be a bright one. But his past is riddled with tragedies and sadness that it makes it so hard to hate him, I guess. I understand that some people don't like him mostly because of like the perception that he's like a mean person. But you have to understand that you don't go through all of those things and come out completely unscathed. Not everyone is Sanjiro. Not everyone can be happy after a horrible experience, especially 2,000 years worth of horrible experiences. That does something to you. The Adepti. The Adepti are gods that have made a contract to protect Liyue and fight under the rule of the Geo-Archons. Unlike the Yakshas, however, with only one sole survivor, the Adepti seem to be thriving, especially as humans, with some still living in the mountains while others live in the city. Xiao's relationship with the Adepti isn't shown as much as his relationship with the fallen Yakshas, but you can still tell they are close. His 2023 birthday letter also states that they had a little celebration for his birthday, which shows that they still interact with one another, which is nice. It's nice to see that he has people around him. After losing all his friends, it is nice to see that he still has others that have gone through similar things that he has gone through, that were there during the war, so they understood what he has gone through, and he's surrounded by them. So if he ever needs to talk to someone, which I don't think he does, he would have someone to talk to. The Traveler. The Traveler has a very strong relationship with Xiao. Xiao is probably the character we are most close to out of the entire cast. The Traveler is one of the few humans that can be around him without being affected by his karmic debt, even going as far as to alleviate some of the pain. The Traveler tries his best to interact with Xiao and have him interact with others. You can see their relationship develop and Xiao's character development really well through the 4 Lantern Rites we've had so far. It saddens me, again, I'm gonna keep repeating this, that newer players will never be able to experience the launching of the Xiao lanterns, the fireworks, the dinner we had, the launching the lanterns together at the end of this year's Lantern Rite. Xiao going from being reserved and asking the Traveler to go away, and when we first invited him to Lantern Rite, to being willing to sit down and have dinner with other people, albeit he had to go out and take a breather with the Traveler when it got too overwhelming. It shows he's growing as a person but still needs his breaks. He is a good representation of what it feels like being an introverted. He isn't emo or hates people, he's just introverted. The Traveler's influence on him is being properly written, and it's one of my favorite dynamics in the whole game. Venti. His relationship with Venti is less talked about. Compared to his relationship with the Traveler, this one is limited to that one interaction with Venti, coincidentally saving him with his flute. He didn't even seem to know his name until the Traveler told him in one of his voice lines, but I do want to see them interact more since he seems to really respect the Animarchon and his music. Also, Xiao wants to dance to Venti's music. The idea of Venti just playing his flute and Xiao dancing sounds like such an interesting interaction, and it would be such a cool idea for an event where Venti and Xiao just interact, because they seem like a fun set of characters. They're quite literally opposite personalities. Seems like a very good event idea. The people of Liyue. It is his lifelong duty to protect the people of Liyue. Though he doesn't interact with them as much as an Adepti, he doesn't interact with them at all, honestly. He avoids them like the plague. He doesn't interact with them ever, at least not willingly. That is mainly due to his karmic debt and fear of harming those around him. Then the community's assumption that he just hates people. This man has seen what happens when corruption consumes you. He is constantly fighting internal demons. He's constantly trying to make sure he does not lose control, and he avoids people so he doesn't have to hurt them. Other relationships that he has, he enjoys Hu Tao's humor. He is Ganyu's mentor. Him and Yelan have an interesting dynamic that I would love to see more of. They have gone through similar pains, but they continue to push forward for different, almost opposite reasons. Yelan continues living so that the lives of those she has lost is not wasted. Xiao, on the other hand, continues living by putting himself in dangerous situations because he feels the need to sacrifice himself for the ones he lost. It's like same coin, opposite sides dynamic, which is also one of my favorite dynamics. Xiao just has a lot of my favorite things about him. His relationship with certain characters, his dynamic with the characters, the way he is written, his personality, even his design, the color scheme they use for him, has to be one of my favorite combinations of colors. Even though the first time I saw him, I was like, that pink looks so out of place. When you look at him long enough, it fits. Character development. When it comes to character development, a good portion of Xiao's character development happens during limited time events, which works in his detriment. One of the biggest flaws of Genshin's storytelling is the fact that important character development and lore happens during limited time events. That if you're not playing during that time period, you just won't be able to experience through the game. Other characters like Albedo also suffer from having a good portion of their story be during limited time events that can't be replayed. Regardless, Xiao has gone from being a very closed-off, isolating character to someone who is willing to try out new things once in a while. This is due to the Traveler constantly encouraging him to interact more with others rather than watching from a distance. this by no means means Xiao is now a more bubbly, outgoing character. No, he still has the sense of lone wolfness about him, if that makes sense. He's just more open to new experiences now, especially if the traveler is the one that's recommending them. Some examples would be the difference between how he interacts with us during each lantern rite. During the first one, he was very adamant about not wanting to watch the lanterns with us. The third one, he comes to dinner with us and other characters. And the fourth one, we released lanterns together privately. Though he didn't exactly interact with other characters, he did invite us out of his own will. It was his own idea, and that was really satisfying to see. Last but not least, misconceptions. The two main misconceptions people have about him is that he hates mortals, which isn't true. He doesn't hate them. He just distances himself from them to protect them from himself. He has spent so long alone and keeping to himself, it is hard for him to come out of his comfort zone, which, to be honest, his comfort zone isn't even that comforting to begin with. Like, his comfort zone just sounds like a bad day for the average person. He just doesn't want to hurt the people he has sworn to protect. The second one is that he's an emo boy. Now, I understand Genshin has a young audience, so memes like this are inevitable. And while I do love the meme, it can actually be funny, sometimes, not all the time. I hate the implications it has had on people's perception of his character. His meme personality is just a cheap, watered down, tropey version of his actual personality. And the fact that some people's perception of him is only his meme personality, it pains me. In conclusion, if there's one thing I want you to take away from this video, is that Xiao isn't some mean, emo teenager that hates mortals and doesn't want anything to do with them. It's just he has lost so many people and struggles with his karmic debt so much, he cannot find it in him to interact with others. One, because he fears harming those he promised to protect, and two, because he is introverted and social interactions are tiring. He just needs someone to reach out to him and make the effort to be friends with him first, and the traveler did just that. Even though he tried to push him away multiple times, they stuck by him, and that's why he trusts us. As someone who, most if not all of my friends are people who have reached out to me rather than the other way around, I am grateful for all the extroverts that go out of their way to quote unquote adopt introverts. It makes my life so much easier. The idea of making friends with people scares me. So when someone goes out of their way to make friends with me, I'm very happy. Like, thank you for doing that. You did the hard part. Anyways, that is all I have to say for today. Subscribe and see you whenever.